there's certainly a tappy joy of, you know, just things like when you're dashing as well. It's just like tap, 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 tap. Whoa! Today's stream is actually sponsored by Mixbox, which is the controller we're going to use today, so let's go and grab it. So this is the controller we're going to be using today. This is an arcade stick that does not have an arcade stick on it. It's got Sanwa buttons, like most arcade sticks, but it's got keyboard keys instead of a stick. There are multiple versions of this controller, but what you see here is the Mixbox Universal Edition, which means that it's got a universal fighting board inside, which will work with Switch. I believe it works with Xbox One. I believe it works with PS4, which is what we're using right now. And it should work with PC as well. Yeah, so I believe Haohmaru came out recently. Horizontal swipe, vertical swipe, kick, and guard. I put my weapon away, which means that I suppose he can do the classic samurai sword clap, which you see in 1-2 Switch. I don't even know if it's an actual move that any samurai would ever do. I have said this before, but I quite like that on the Mixbox controller, up actually does push you forward into the screen, and down does push you down into the screen. So Soulcalibur is one of those games that has something called 8-way run. So it can neutral jump kick, forward jump kick, back jump kick. Don't forget that also Haohmaru is originally a character who was from a 2D game. So this is a bit like when Akuma showed up in Tekken. I feel like Soulcalibur is a game people want to exist but not play. They want it to exist but they don't want to play it. They just like knowing that it's there. Yeah, it's like there was this awesome game that came out on the... Well, was it? The first one was on Dreamcast, right? And then it was Soul Edge and Soul Blade before that on PlayStation. It's true, I think you might be right actually. By the way, anyone who has questions about the Mixbox, feel free to ask at any time. Mixbox feels totally fine to me. To be honest, it's the controller that I want to work really well for Street Fighter. It's just that for Tiger Knee motions, it's a little bit unintuitive because you go like down, back, jump forward. So it can be done, but it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite movement, which is why I prefer playing it on these 3D games. Is there still no trials mode in this game? I like watching Soulcalibur as well. I really enjoyed watching it, the Evo streams for this. So this is normal slash. The dash slash, first of all, look at that, he takes one giant step forward. That's one step forward for man, one giant leap for mankind. I'm gonna hit you with this bottle of water. This is the water bottle attack, or is it sake? Maybe this is alcohol. So in this game, because you've got one attack button, you've got horizontal slash, vertical slash, and kick. But in Samurai Shodown, you've got light, medium, heavy. So to do the heavy attack in this game, it looks like you have to press B and C at the same time. Yeah, this is water. This is what this is. Oh, actually, all of his back attacks involve the thing. Oh, the kick doesn't. Forward B, forward. Oh, interesting. So you can follow it with more. Flame of the Conqueror with max rage. There we go. I mean, that does some damage, but it's not quite as exciting, is it? Ho ho! I'm a jumping samurai. I could do this. It wants me to do a throw followed by a dash up BB. Okay. You can just hold it down. Okay. Oh, there, you've said it. If you hold throw, you get shoved. Would be nice if the game had told me that. Come at me seriously! The ABK super is pretty cool. I like this one as well. Half circle forward, then a DP backwards. Oh, I see. So for no real reason, you can do the totally ridiculous input. And I don't know if it changes the properties of the move, or you could just press A, B, K. Oh, interesting. So I've got this deadly rave thing. Do the super in this. A, A, B, B, K, K, A, B, K. A, B, K, 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 B, K. You can mash A, B, K for that super and get less damage. What, like this? Like this? Is that what you mean? Anyway, I think we won't get a good idea of what this character can do until we've actually played him in a match. So let's just get out of here. Oh, I did that one combo that I figured out. Oh, I keep holding back to block. Holding back is not block in this game. So is this like Tekken? You generally want to be stands blocking? You know, in Street Fighter V, and most 2D games, you want a standard, you generally want a crouch block. In this game, would you say that in general you want to just stand block and then crouch block if necessary? Standing block should be your default defense, I believe. Gotcha. Alright, so I'm going to stick with that. This is how I get into this game, by the way. If I figure out how to block, that's when I actually start to enjoy the game. Back BK, then K is a nice retreat and punish. Ho-ho! Quite like that, thank you. This is the one I wanted to figure out. Ouch! There we go. I forget to block when I play this game. Exactly, same here. I actually played a tournament match while pressing back and wondering why am I not blocking. It's just really difficult to be a 2D player and a 3D player. I suppose the easiest one is if you're a Street Fighter player, if you go into Tekken, at least holding back is block. Nihongo, what does your name mean? The name just means Japanese language gamer. And the reason was, when this channel originally began, I wasn't planning on making videos. Originally it was just a website. I was just going to make videos reviewing games that I thought were useful for learning Japanese. So the original idea was that I was going to write articles. I was going to play various games that had like a lot of text, you know, a lot of text or a lot of voice acting. And then I would use the website as a way to recommend to people who were learning Japanese. But in the end, it turns out, you know, that wasn't the sort of content that I ended up wanting to make. Ouch. I like how he did that matrix stuff. He's like, "Rrr." Like that move as well. Yeah, this game is good. Okay, I'm getting into it now. I think it was really difficult for me for the first few matches because you feel helpless. It's like, I don't understand how to block. I really feel like if you can teach someone how to block, it gives them a massive feeling of power. Especially in a game like this, it's more powerful to learn how to block than learning some funky combo. Because if you never get to use the combo, it doesn't really matter. I have to admit, they really put the noses too low on these people's faces. The nose really needs to be higher up on almost every girl's face in this game. For some reason, I don't know why the designs... Are they trying to make them look Western? Because it's not working. But I don't think it's as bad on the male characters, is it? Like, Haohmaru's nose is in the right place. But look, Songmina's nose is definitely 2 centimeters too low. Yeah, and they definitely did that with Cassandra as well. She looks bizarre. I think probably every time I've played Soulcalibur has been on Mixbox. I don't remember if I ever played it on stick. You're right on the nose. I like how you said that. You're right on the nose. The female characters are kind of low. It's just really bizarre. I think they're trying to make them look more Western, but it's not working. There's certainly a tappy joy of, you know, when it's just things like when you're dashing as well. It's just like tap 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 tap. Whoa! All right, I'll give you a chance to sell to me. You've used the Mixbox and Hitbox. What are the advantages of the Mixbox over the Hitbox? Well, thanks for the interesting question, Grinning Oni. This is the Mixbox, and anyone who's wondering what a Hitbox is, if you don't know, Hitbox is actually quite similar to this, except that the design that Hitbox, the Hitbox company, uses is 3 Sanwa buttons for left, down, right, and then the jump button is down here, right? So you jump with your thumb. And that makes plenty of sense in a 2D fighting game, but I do find that because you use your fingers like this, you can see like I mean, we've talked about this in previous streams as well before, but I really like it for 3D games because this moves you towards the screen and that moves you into the screen. So it kind of maps correctly to a 3D game, especially for a game like Soulcalibur, which has 8-way movement. Pressing up on the controller moves me up or into the screen, and pressing down moves me towards the screen. So if you imagine this was like from top view, I'm actually moving left and right with my character. He's physically moving left and right like this. I feel like it's more intuitive. But then again, I haven't actually played Soulcalibur with a hitbox, so I can't really say. But I have tried hitbox, and I feel like it makes plenty of sense for 2D games. But I think for 3D games, it'd be like, every time you want to move up into the screen, like this, you'd have to press your thumb. So you'd be like, double tapping with your thumb to move up. Whereas with this in Soulcalibur, if I want to double tap to move into, well, I mean, obviously you just hold it down to run. But if you wanted to do a little sidestep, I'd do this with my finger. Whereas with the hitbox, I'd be using either my thumb, or I'd be using my right hand to do that. I don't know. I would have to try hitbox before I make any judgments. So I certainly can't say too much about hitbox for 3D games, but I've had this Mixbox for like, what, a year and a half now? And every time I do a stream with it, I never have any trouble using it. And it's just also kind of fun. If you've never used a button-based controller, it's kind of fun like doing this, like just doing your combos like this. It's like Hadouken! Or if you want to do dash moves, if you want to dash up. Ew, did he just do a spit? What's the SOCD like on Mixbox? Well, I think it uses a Brook Universal Fighting Board on the inside, so it's whatever Brook uses. The SOCD on this game, as you can see, if I'm holding left and right at the same time, I'll get neutral. And if I'm holding down and up, I'll get up. So these, as far as I'm aware, these are the correct SOCD rules. And if you want to change it, there's also an extra switch on the inside here. So there's two modes on the Mixbox. I've got off and on, or basically mode 1 and mode 2. So if you switch it to the other mode, then it will do the most recent. You can switch it so it's like most recent button has priority, or you can do it what I'm using right now, which is left, right, neutral, which is the standard SOCD rules, or down and up, where up takes precedence. As far as I'm aware, Mixbox and Hitbox are both tournament legal. Still cool that people are figuring out new ways to innovate controllers. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Hitbox was like 8 years ago, and Mixbox was like two years ago, I think. And this is really the right time for it as well. Because with games like Grand Blue Fantasy, which are trying to get, people from a mobile game into fighting games, and games like League of Legends fighting game, which is called Project L. We still have very little footage of it, but that's going to be a lot of people coming from keyboard. Like, a lot of people who want to play on their gaming keyboards are going to want to continue to play on their gaming keyboards when the League of Legends fighting games comes out. So it's nice to have these keyboard-looking options, I think. Fresh meat into fighting games is great. This is the thing with fighting games. It's a lot like poker playing fighting games, isn't it? You know when you get first invited, when your friends are like, hey, we're having a poker night, do you want to come to poker night? What's actually happening is they just want fresh meat. And it's easy to have if you have someone new, because they don't get poker, or the mind games, because poker is a lot like mind games as well, right? It's very similar in that, they want new flesh to come in with new money, so they can kind of steal it from you. That's not always how it is with fighting games, but I'm just saying there is an analogy there. That when new players come in, it's like, yeah, now all the weak players will feel like they're really strong because there's even newer players to beat on. There is that aspect to it. Of course, it's not. I don't think that's the majority. I think the majority would prefer that just new people come in and play so that the player base increases. Let's see if anyone in Japan is playing. I think he's a fun character. He's definitely the sort of character that I think would be fun to play in a game like Soulcalibur. Oh, we can just press forward A, B for this. Maybe that's because it's just for people who play 2D fighters. They gave you the original input for this. but you actually don't need to use it. You can just press forward AB. When did Sam Show get an update? Sounds like you are big boys grappler person, which I'm not. I have respect for you. We finally got into... We went into arcade mode and we finally got an online match. Oops, did the wrong move. I was trying to do the... What were you calling it? Retreat and kick. I was trying to do the retreat and kick. Oh, hello. Hey, I'm not doing bad with these. The only 2 combos I know, right? Going alright, actually. Yo! Sonic Soul with the 96 viewer host. Thank you so much. Welcome to a Mixbox stream. The stream is sponsored by Mixbox if you've never tried one. The main reason I don't play is that I didn't have the energy to look up info. You know what? Absolutely, Calibur. I was actually saying this at the beginning of this stream, but I was, you know, I haven't played this game for like a year, right? I was getting back into it, and I was like, okay, let's do some trials. But it turns out this game doesn't have trials. And so what I was saying earlier is that this game, as a single player experience, if you're new to fighting games, or even if you're not new to fighting games, if you're like a seasoned professional, you turn on this game and it's like, where do I go? Okay, well, we can do arcade mode, but there's no like boss or story unless you play like story mode. But I don't want to play story mode. I don't want to go through like a long story. I just want to have a classic, you know, play some 8 battles with a few witty one-liners in between matches and stuff. But I didn't feel like I got that from arcade mode, which is what we're doing right now. It just feels kind of hollow. And then the learning experience is a bit like, well, I feel like I haven't really learned anything. Because you go into training mode and then you have to like open up the menu, and then you have to like close the menu to practice the combo. I don't know, I feel like the single player experience needs plenty of work here. Still playing Matera? Alright, gotcha. You like the directional style more than hitbox? I feel like, personally, I mean, I haven't used a hitbox in Soulcalibur, so I can't judge. I don't want to judge hitbox too early. But it does seem like it makes more sense. Like, this makes sense movement-wise. Would normal keycaps work from a mechanical keyboard? Oh, absolutely. The switches that ship with this, by the way, are the Cherry MX red switches. If you open it up, you can actually see. Well, that's no good. I actually won a game, I can't believe it. Finally figured out the most important move for a Samurai Shodown character, which is heavy slash. With regards to having fun with the game and getting motivated to play it more, I would definitely say like getting a controller that you enjoy, and that might be, for most people, probably for 85% of people, it'll probably just be one of these, a DualShock 4. And actually, I was playing Dead or Alive 6 with my DualShock 4 the other day, and I was having a brilliant time. So, controller actually can be more fun for a lot of people. I personally find that I do have a really good time in Soulcalibur when I play on this. I'm not a professional Soulcalibur player. I don't go to Evo to play Soulcalibur or anything, but we tried out Haohmaru today, the DLC character. It was a lot of fun, and just as a casual player of this game, I would say that it does feel very natural. I don't know about hitbox layout because I've never tried it on Soulcalibur, but I do like that, you know, this moves you towards the screen, this moves you away, towards the screen, into the screen, backwards, forwards. It makes sense for a game where you have 8-way movement. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. This controller specifically is the Universal Edition, so it's got all the buttons that you would normally get on the normal Mixbox, but you also get a touchpad button and an L3 and an R3 button. Plus, this is the Tilt Edition, so it's got, I think it's 12 degrees, it's between 12 and 15 degrees of tilt, which is just a little bit nicer, because I've got the original Mixbox as well, and personally, that was one of my suggestions to the company, and I was like, you know, I just feel like if there was some tilt on here, it would be a little more comfortable, because when you're playing like this, your hand is kind of like, it does this with a keyboard. For example, when I'm working, I'm often using a keyboard like this, and I wish my hands were doing this, Not everyone wants a keyboard to do that, but personally, just the size of the keys on a keyboard, it means that your wrists, depending on how much work you do, and what kind of work you do, a lot of people can't afford to tilt their entire keyboard because only one hand is on it. But if you've got both hands on the keyboard, instead of doing this, you do this. And for something that you're going to be potentially practicing on for like 6 to 8 hours a day, if you want to get pro at fighting games or whatever, you want to make sure that you're not doing damage to your body, right? I personally think. Something that you will find that's a little difficult if you've never used a button-based controller before is you may find that your ring finger is a little bit weak. The first time you play on something like this, I mean, it's more obvious if you're playing a 2D game because your 214s on the first player side, or 236 if you're on the second player side, this movement will feel a bit strange because you have to use your ring finger, which a lot of people, unless you play the piano or you play guitar, you probably haven't used this finger for very much, right? You'll find that this movement down forward with your index finger is a little bit easier. But maybe it's fortunate that I played a bit of piano and I do play guitar as well. So who knows, that may have helped. But I think you can get used to it. You can strengthen this finger so that you're not having to flatten it out like this. You can actually have it bent and still apply the correct pressure. So that's something to consider if you've never used a button-based controller before, or more likely, if you decide that you want a controller like this and you're like on day one, you're like, oh, it's so painful and I can't do anything on the back. Just stick with it for a little while. Stick with it for a while. Stick with it and see how you go. See if your finger does eventually strengthen, because it probably will. Most people, when they get to play the piano, they're doing the scales. They're like do 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 do, and it's because certain fingers are weaker, and so they don't have control over the speed and precision with which they press it. If I play Soulcalibur again, I think I would definitely try playing Haohmaru again. He does retain that sort of 2D feel to him, the way that his moves work. I also quite like the sway thing. I think maybe because I was playing Paul in Tekken 7, I liked how he's got moves that's like press a button and then a direction, and you can like sway back, sway forward, and follow up with stuff. And he's also got that evade move where he would like, what did you call it? Retreat? It's like he'd like retreat back and then jump back forward and do stuff. I'll see you all in the next stream or video.